Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. The Library of Silence. The city buzzed beyond the towering glass walls of the university's library, a relentless hum of voices, footsteps, and distant sirens. Inside, however, a different world unfolded. A sanctuary of silence inhabited by stories and secrets whispered through the turn of a page. For Alara, a deaf student navigating her final year of literature, the library was more than just an academic refuge. It was a haven where she could breathe without the chaos of the outside world pressing against her chest. Alara moved with practiced grace through the aisles, her fingertips gliding over the spines of worn books as if communing with their souls. Her dark eyes sparkled with the quiet fire of determination, her world shaped by a symphony of silence. She was keenly observant, her gaze attuned to the smallest details, from the way a page curled under the weight of time to the subtle shifts in the expressions of passers-by. But what she lacked in spoken words, she made up for in the language of gestures and nods. Elliot was the library volunteer, a second-year English major with a soft smile and a gentle manner that seemed to blend seamlessly into the library's quiet atmosphere. He had always adored the written word, the way stories could build bridges between strangers and heal unseen wounds. When he first noticed Alara, a solitary figure sitting near the poetry section, her hands dancing over the lines as if signing to the dead ink, something stirred inside him. It was curiosity at first, then admiration, and finally a growing desire to know the world she inhabited beyond the silence. Their story began with a simple exchange, a single note left on the counter where Elliot was shelving new arrivals. "Hello. I hope you are well today." It was written in neat, looping handwriting, and it caught Alara's attention like a beacon. Surprised, she looked around, her eyes landing on Elliot at a nearby table, pretending to engross himself in a book but clearly watching her. With a small smile, she wrote back, "Thank you. I am. Your handwriting is beautiful." She folded the note carefully and returned it to the counter, her heart fluttering in a quiet rhythm. Days passed, and what started as notes evolved into a secret language between the shelves lined with stories of old and new. Elliot learned to write in simple sign language glosses, crafting poems and messages that Alara could take home and study. She returned them adorned with colorful drawings and her own signed verses, captured through photographs he eagerly memorized. They shared more than words. Their glances met across the aisles. A lifted eyebrow, a subtle tilt of the head, a shy smile that spoke more than volumes. The corner near the poetry section became their unspoken meeting place, a stage for silent performances of affection and understanding. One rainy afternoon, while the library's large windows misted with condensation, Elliot found Alara nestled under a heap of classic novels, her fingers tracing the edges of a tattered volume. He approached cautiously, heart pounding with the quiet thrill of connection. Sitting beside her, he slipped a small notebook into her hands. It was blank, its pages eager for stories. Alara's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. Opening it, she found the first page already inscribed with a poem in signed language notation, accompanied by a rough translation. "In the stillness, your silence sings, a melody no voice can bring." For the first time since they met, Alara reached out to take Elliot's hand, her fingers exploring the contours of his palms with the reverence of a whispered promise. Their hands spoke in a language beyond words, weaving a tender tapestry of trust and wonder. The semester unfolded with shared secret moments tucked between hours of study and whispered page turns. Alara taught Elliot the beauty of sign language, each gesture a brushstroke painting the depths of her soul. Elliot, in turn, introduced her to poetry that resonated with her silent world, works by poets who captured emotions that transcended sound. One evening, as orange sunlight spilled like liquid gold over the reading tables, Elliot brought a surprise. He had arranged a small display of books with poems he thought she would love, each one open to a page marked with delicate notes and translations he had prepared. Among them was a card, hand-lettered with trembling care. "Will you come with me to the poetry reading next week? I want to hear the silence between lines with you." Alara's eyes shone brightly as she responded by signing softly, "Yes, I will." The poetry reading night was an electric thread weaving together hearts and voices, but for Alara, it was the silence between the spoken words that mattered. Elliot sat beside her, their hands entwined beneath the table, their communication flowing through shared smiles and the warmth of touch. As the poet recited verses about love and longing, Alara felt a closeness that sound could never convey but that silence could hold with profound clarity. In the following weeks, their connection deepened. They spent afternoons wandering the campus gardens, sharing poems crafted in sign language, their own voices carried not by sound but by the eloquence of gesture and touch. Their love bloomed like the wildflowers in spring, vibrant, resilient, and utterly beautiful. Yet, as with every story worth telling, challenges tested their bond. Some students and even a few staff saw their relationship as curious or fragile, not understanding the profound strength found in their unique way of loving. Alara faced moments of isolation when others spoke loudly around her without accommodation, while Elliot wrestled with trying to bridge that gap for her. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day where Alara had struggled to follow a lecture despite the presence of a sign language interpreter, she returned to the library, the weight of frustration etching her face. Elliot met her with a smile that was a lifeline. Taking her hands in his, he signed gently, "We are stronger together. I will be your voice in the noise." His words were a balm, and she leaned into him, their foreheads touching, a silent vow passing between them. Graduation approached like a final chapter. Alara had been accepted into a prestigious graduate program focused on accessible literature, while Elliot prepared to launch a project advocating for greater inclusivity on campus. Their paths were promising yet uncertain, filled with promises of distance and new beginnings. On the last day of the semester, beneath the softened glow of twilight filtering through stained glass, they sat once more in their sacred corner of the library. Elliot handed Alara a folded page, more precious than any book or letter. It was a signed poem, delicate and heartfelt, titled, "The Library of Silence." The poem spoke of a love that transcended sound, of moments shared in quiet corners, of glances that whispered secrets, and of two souls finding home in the silence between words. Alara's response was a single note. "Will you be my forever reader? The one who listens when the world is too loud." Elliot's answer was a tender smile, his hands reaching for hers, signing slowly, "Always." The library remained their witness, a timeless chamber of stories and silence, where love spoke volumes without a single sound. For more stories, like and subscribe.